Good day. My name is Ofori Michael Pavnal, and I am the author of this paper, The Impact of Age Population Structure on Transport Investment and Evidence from Ghana. Before I begin, this is a PowerPoint presentation of my actual paper that I published. Very good. So starting with the introduction, over here we see to it that we look at history of what happens when there is excess population or when there is a reduction in population. So I began my research back looking at what happened during World War One, and also what the nations that were involved in the fatality rate of most European countries, which included Germany, France, Italy, Belgium, and the United Kingdom. The population of these countries dropped drastically. When you look at the world and most countries, the problem that we face now in the 21st century has to do with what unprecedented population growth due to the reduction in the fertility rate and increase in what longevity of humans. A lot of economies have developed centuries ago, but that tend to what get closer to an era of aging population. That is from Harper and Leeson in 2002, their research. Moving down the line, I realized that road infrastructure, there is a high cost involved in the investment in road infrastructure. For some reasons, in most European countries, when they began the slave trade, it mainly focused on railway transportation that helped them to reach most of their goals. So using humans as a form of trade, using humans to transport goods and services from one country to another, knowing that when there is small population, when there is a vibrant population, people are going to work, people are going to make money, and the country's economy is going to boost. Looking at Ghana's operation, Ghana's transport system started way back in the 80s, somewhere when Ghana began the first transportation of gold. That is from Takrady, a town in Ghana, to Takwa. These are the large gold mines that we have in the country. As of then, moving down straight to 1927, the operation of buses then began, somewhere where people were being commuted in buses from one point to another, mainly the big cities. This information can be obtained from Ghana Information Services in the year 1957. Ever since then, there has been an improvement in the bus services by policies of previous governments. These include the establishment of Metro Mass Transit, the state transport corporations, and many others. So we look at a case study of Ghana's population investment. The population of Ghana poses a very challenging problem to the development of the country. And until a population control measure has been put in place, there's going to be a problem always. The nation's effort to do that has really dropped. So that has caused an increase in population, and any time there is an increase in population, it increases the demand or the pressure. There's going to be an increase in the pressure for available infrastructure. Example, educational infrastructure. There's going to be an increase in demand for jobs. There's going to be an increase in demand for basic amenities. Yeah. So one of the cases, one of the problems that Ghana faces right now has to do with population, and then the next one also has to do with transport infrastructure. This is because Ghana's population is vibrant. It's a vibrant population filled with young and able men and women. do we use them? How do we make good use of their services? Looking down straight to this particular issue that is happening, the problem with transport now is that people usually find it difficult getting cars, getting private cars, maybe cars to commute them from where they are, from their homes, straight down to their workplaces. So they have to wake up very early in the morning to go to the station and queue for any available bus. So sometimes they don't get enough rest. They have to wake up as early as 4 to go for a bus. Concerning the literature review, I took one interesting literature review from literature from Roback that addressed the connection between population and transport. As he says, change as a well-known balancing model that shows travel costs as a key determining factor in local decisions as both enterprises and households. In order to obtain profit maximization, a company or a country or an environment in which it's feasible to reduce fuel rates and raising expenses to increase demand. Households prefer areas that deliver low cost and convenient access or high pay prices and town services in towns and rural areas. So what this is trying to tell us is that in some places where there is high cost of fuel, it becomes very difficult. It becomes difficult for us to commute, for people to go for cars or to demand the movement of people. So over here we look at the factors that influence the development of transport system. We have different factors. We have population, economy, environment, trade, technology, internal policies, history, politics. Also, what affects the transport system. All these are contributing factors. And then the paper also looks at the hypothesis that has to do with looking at the hypothesis, that is the age groups from age 20 to 24, so age 20 to 34, 35 to 59, 60 plus, that is the retirement age. So I was able to group them into 3 categories: the young population, working population, and then the aged. The methodology used in this study was conducted, so basically the study was conducted using the Ghana's demographic population and the transport services data, which was obtained from World Bank. Also, the study utilized quantitative technology like factor analysis, regression, and then descriptive analysis. E-views was used to gather the data from World Bank in order to help process into factor analysis and then regression analysis. This study also targeted the entire Ghanaian population from the year 1990 to 2018. This is being regarded, or disregarded, based on the year groups: the youth population, the working population, and then the retired or aged population. This study adopted a content analysis approach. The content analysis approach was used or was chosen for this reason, for this research, because it's commonly utilized in empiric and accounting studies, especially in corporate disclosure and so on and so forth. So then we come to the model specification. Okay, because of the PPT, I think there's going to be a few discrepancies. Now, back to the correlation metrics. The correlation metrics regarding transport infrastructure. This was done based on the fact that we are trying to look at the correlation that exists between transport and the aid infrastructure with the control variable. Control variables could be any other variables or any other contributing variables that are not directly linked to the paper but indirectly affect the study, or indirectly can be a contributing factor. So we found that GDP is a control variable, and also inflation is also a control variable. So then, in checking the correlation metrics, it was identified in this line, having 60 plus having the smallest. Transport has a consequential large standard deviation after GDP, while the list is by the 20 to 34. Descriptive purposes. In this line, the highest mean, median, or mean or median values by GDP, followed by transport, and list is by the age group 60 plus. I'll be quick on that. The unit root was done, unit root test was done, this exercise was done therefore to involve and know the testing, how to test and know which variables is stationary. The Brown test was also done to identify how long the integrating and of transport systems and various age transport systems of the transport systems and various age groups. The statistics which major reject the null hypothesis indicates that the transport system or the transport sector of Ghana concerning transport efficiency should be long run analysis or long run relationship. Auto-distributive lag or auto-regression distributive lag, also known as the ARDL, was also implied in this paper. The granger causality was also used to find the significant difference, the significance of the items or variables that were used in the research. So in conclusion, it was identified that the most influential age group has to do with the younger population, that is the year or the age group 20 to 34. They had a high influence on transport infrastructure. So therefore, it's been recommended that the government has to improve infrastructure from the World Health Organization checklist in order to ensure that the age group is taken